Hello everyone, Sensei and Sophie Briggs here with you again for Thursday night's video. We came up with the idea that we would do a question and answer session tonight for our video. I have questions that different people in class have submitted for Sophie to answer, and so I'm going to ask questions and he's going to provide answers. You got anything to add to that, Sophie?
No, I don't guess so. I guess you can put me on the spot, and we'll see. I just sat down. I've been gone, had something I had to take care of, and just got back. So this is totally unprepared, but we're going to shoot from the cuff. Yeah, you can tell who they're from if you want to. Yeah, go ahead and tell who they're from.
Okay. All right, so let's get started. We have a few questions here. The first question is from one of our students, Miss Evelyn Carr. She would like to know how you come up with ideas to teach a class.
Well, I'm assuming that Evelyn is asking that because she's probably going to be testing for her assistant instructor certification this coming August in just a few months when we have our big testing thing. So, but here's the deal. As far as your testing goes, Evelyn, for that assistant instructor, we will come in, all the black belts. You're going to be taking class from start to finish. As a matter of fact, black belts won't even be dressed out. They'll be in civilian clothes. And we'll let you do it. And you'll be given 3 different subject areas. So you'll have to open class, teach each one of those 3 different subject areas, and close class. And when you close class, class is over. They can go, except you and the black belts. And that's when we kind of debrief you, or how would you say, critique, I guess, critique you, and so forth and so on. So if that's where you're headed to with that, that's the answer to that. If it's just from an instructor standpoint, say once you get your black belt and your you get your instructor certification and you decide to open up school. I learned this a long time ago. You can't just come in and just teach something for the sake of teaching something. You have either one, got to prepare for what you want to do that night, or you got to be pretty well versed in everything in your style that you actually teach. Now, most of you know, I'm assuming everybody in our class knows, because they've heard me say this. I'll be, when people come into class at night, they'll be like, "Soki, what are we doing tonight?" And I'll be like, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know at that point. I do, my best teaching is impromptu teaching. I fly off the seat of the cuff. But I will also say this. You have to be extremely observant to your class. If you open up a school, you have to be extremely observant to your class. You have to be in tune to them. And you have to just watch every night what goes on and monitor what goes on and keep it locked up here. And, some things you don't have to train at every night that you come in class, but there might be other things that you got to train for more often than others. You have a lot of classes. Say if they go 4 nights a week, they'll have 1 night for kata, 1 night for sparring, maybe 1 night an open class and 1 night just to teach basics or I guess things for your belt. And as y'all know, we don't do that in our class. I keep a mental track right here, and as y'all know, I keep a record of who comes to class, who doesn't come to class, and you're scored every night. And I keep that written in the book. You know that. You've seen it. And say, for instance, that you and I are out of class. Sensei Carr's teaching class, Evelyn's mother, Sensei Dana Carr, if she's teaching class, and if we're out of town for something, we come back. One of the first things I do is get hold of Sensei Carr and say, who all was at class this night, however many nights I missed, who was at class that night, what did you go over, how did things go? In other words, I'm keeping track of stuff like that, because you don't go into class to teach a class to keep things interesting. You go into class to teach a class to make people better, because it's not interesting in throwing the same techniques over and over and over, or doing the same katas over and over and over. There's nothing interesting in that. I already hear a lot of instructors say, I'm going to teach a client, to be a good instructor, you got to keep things interesting. I agree to that to some point. You don't want to be a monotone speaker like we talked about this past last two videos, I think. But at the same time, you learn and you become good through repetition.
Right.
It's body
There's
memorization. Exactly. Yes. And that's not interesting. Sometimes that gets boring, doing kata or one specific kata. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And people's like, why am I having to do this so many times? Because you're doing it wrong, or you need to get better at it. So to answer your question from a black belt instructor's point of view, Evelyn, I think you just stay in tune with your class. Keep an eye on your class. Find out what they need from class to class to be taught to them or to be gone over, and take it to that. I've seen people come to class, and you've seen this before too. Black belt instructors, we've seen this before. People come to class, they don't know what to teach or how to teach, so what they do exercises. Yeah. I'm not saying that exercise is not good for you, but that's a dead giveaway that you don't really know your material or know what to do. You've got this fail-safe, well, let me do exercise. Well, heck, I can train a monkey to go in there and teach make you do 100 push-ups or 100 sit-ups and run back and forth and do different types of exercises. And I'm not saying that exercises don't have a place in class, because they do. You've got to exercise. Right. You got to keep your strength built up. But, you're not paying to take an exercise class, right, if you will. You're paying, or you come to a karate school to take a karate class, right. So you've got to stay in tune with your people and not give them what they want, but give them what they need.
Right. That's a good answer. Okay, next question is from Evelyn's brother, Ethan. He would like to know how to confuse an opponent, even if you're changing up your sparring. I guess in essence, if you're already doing something like broken rhythm fighting, what could you do if that's just not getting what you need or getting the result you need?
Well, there's a military saying that I've heard for years and years in the military. When you're training in the military, keep your enemy confused. And I'm not saying that your opponent in karate class, you should, your fellow classmates or something like that you should keep them confused. But try new things. Try what works for you. And every time you fight someone, fight them different. And the best, just flat out straight answer that I could possibly give Ethan for that question is study your opponent. If you study your opponent, don't just get in there and start punching and kicking and blindly, not knowing what you're doing, or and everybody's got their techniques that they like better than other techniques. And throughout the years, I've had to shift. I've got favorite techniques I very rarely throw right now because of my knees are so bad, and I just can't do that kind of thing, or my back, it hurts my back or my hips or something. But, and sometimes you have to adapt to that. Right. You might like this technique, but it might not be one of your better techniques you use when you fight. But the best overall answer that I can give Ethan for that is just study your opponent. Be a smart fighter. I talk about this in class all the time. Be a smart fighter. Think. Don't just go in there blindly and just start throwing stuff. Right. Because if you do that, number one, your technique is probably gonna suck, for lack of better words, if you just blindly just start throwing all kinds of crazy stuff. But number two, you're gonna do no good. You know, train yourself to be a smart fighter, to study your opponent when you're fighting somebody. Okay, and you know, as small class as what we got, everybody in there should pretty much know what each other's habits are.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit right
Mm-hmm.
here and I can pick from you
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to little Evangeline and tell you exactly when they're sparring about what they're getting ready to do this, they're getting ready to do that, you know. And it's not really that I study all my students in class. It's just I watch them to see how they're developing so I can try and help them out. But you know, just study your opponent. That's the basic thing. You know, the best way to confuse someone is study them and find out what their weaknesses are, or maybe their bad habits are, and capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Okay, the next question we have is from our senior student, Mr. Matt Vallant. He would like to know how to develop kime.
Huh. Well, that's an open-ended question, because there's use kime, or you should use kime in everything you do in martial art, because what's the English translation for kime? Proper focus.
Mm-hmm.
Proper focus. I was watching a guy in Switzerland just last night. Shotokan instructor from Switzerland teach a traditional sparring class last night, and he was talking about kime. I was watching Kyle Funakashi, Gichin Funakashi's distant cousin that teaches in Washington State. I was watching him with one of his training sessions the other night, and he was doing different techniques and stuff like that, and he was talking about kime, you know, about throwing techniques and stuff. So I'm not quite sure, because kime is such a broad subject. You know, I'm not quite sure what exactly Senpai is asking when he says, how do you develop kime? Because, you know, kime for fighting is different than kime for practicing your techniques or practicing doing your kata or something like that. I do believe all of it comes, well, kime's proper focus, and all of it comes from right there. You have got to train your mind to stay in touch and focus, you know, and that's a lifelong journey. I mean, I still train my mind to do certain things. You've got to train your mind to withstand a certain amount of physical torture, if you will, you know, like some military schools. You know, it's kind of like mind over matter. I mean, and how many times you heard me say in class, don't let this go dead on you. As long as this keeps working, you've always got a chance. When this, your mind or your brain, your head, when it shuts down, you're done. I don't care how strong your body is, when your mind shuts down, you're done. And your body's only as strong as what the mind is. You know.
May I interject?
Sure.
Something here. One of the things that comes to my mind, and I do this quite frequently during the course of my day, and we do this in class, and I think about this a lot in class when we do Maksul. There's your opportunity before class, when we bow in, to settle yourself and settle your mind, and to leave everything that's going on outside the dojo doors, so that you can focus on the task at hand, whether it's kata, sparring, technique, whatever it may be. During the course of my day, sometimes I have to just get up from my desk and just go out of my office somewhere else and just spend a few minutes doing something else, or just I'll just sit there and just think of nothing, so that I can put whatever it is that's bugging me away from me, so that when I go back to my desk, I can concentrate on the task at hand. I did that a couple times today. I've got a huge issue going on with my work, and I just had to get up and walk away and settle myself down and just let my mind kind of go numb, if you will, or blank, so that when I went back to my desk, I picked right up and I was completely focused on what I had to do. So that it is something that you develop, and you develop it every day.
And you touched on something very important there, and we need to reteach this in class. We usually try to go over this once or twice a year, throughout a 12-month period, and it's been a while since we went over this. The reason for Maksul. What is Maksul? Maksul is silent meditation. When you do Maksul before class, what you're doing is, or what you're supposed to be doing, is not only uniting, because you're doing that deep breathing, breathe in your nose, and the Japanese believe to let the oxygen circle around the mind to unite the mind, the body, and the spirit. The spirit's where the heart is. The circle around the mind, go down at your spine, circle around this part of your body called the hara, to unite the mind and the body, and then as it comes up, back up through your lungs this way, it passes the heart where it engages the spirit, and you breathe out. So Maksul is to unite mind, body, and spirit, but Maksul is also, before class, what you should be doing is, like you said, clearing your mind. If you've had I don't care if you've had an excellent day or if you've had a really, really bad day. When you come in class and you do Maksul, you should be clearing your mind and what? Preparing for that class to come ahead. Getting in the mindset, or like there's some in my career field, and certain other career fields in the military, it's like get in the game. That's what you're doing. You're preparing yourself to get in the game. In other words, you're focusing, you're preparing yourself, preparing your mind to get in there and practice and do what you need to do. And you need to tune out peripheral stuff to the side of you. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't have any dealings with you. When you practice, you need to be concentrating on practice. That's why, and you've heard me say this before in dojo, I've gotten a little loose on it here lately, but when you come to class, cut the cell phones, quit worrying about them, but, we've gotten lax on that here lately, because I leave my cell phone on, because we got 4 kids and 4 grandkids that's around, and, I just hate to and really miss something if one of them needs us, but you want to try and disconnect from the outside world and focus on what you're doing in there. And Zanchin that we do after Maksul, Zanchin, is, you go forward and then you take those deep breaths, and that's basically Zanchin is coming out of that meditative state that we do. Right. And then when we do Maksul at the end of class, what that is for is to really focus on the good things that we've done or that you were able to do during class at that point in time. But if you had a bad class where you just couldn't seem to get that kata right, or you couldn't seem to get your sparring down, or whatever the case may be, when you're doing Maksul after class, you should be pushing that out of your mind. Push it out. Don't think about it no more. Forget about it. It's in the past. Forget about it. Move on to something else, something more positive. Kime is a subject, man. I could teach a full seminar just on Kime, and Senpai, that was an excellent question. And I know we just barely touched on a little bit of the outside surfaces on it, but maybe
it's worth talking more about.
It is, and we could do a whole video just on Kime, and maybe we'll do that because that's important. And everybody needs to know the proper focus. And another thing, what's the name of our style? Kidokime-ryu. Right. It's a school that teaches the internal energy, your inner energy way of proper focus. That's what Kidokime-ryu means, you know. And so Kime is it depends on what part you're talking about as to what Kime can, and there's different ways, you know, that Kime that I may have to develop for sparring is a different Kime to develop to do a kata, you know, or to learn a technique, or just to be in the mindset of being in class and drilling every night. So there's what a wide range subject that is. But that's an excellent question. You know, and maybe we need to do a whole video or maybe a whole class sometime just on Kime.
We might, you know, maybe spend some class time talking about it, making sure that everybody understands it.
And that might help people when it comes test time in August too.
Absolutely.
Especially Senpai, since he's testing for his black belt, because Kime's it's such an important part of martial arts. If you leave out Kime, man, there ain't but so much you're going to do in martial arts, and then you're going to get hung there. You're going to get stuck there because you can't rely just on physical body strength all your life, you know, or natural talent. At some point, you're going to have to bring something. You know, you've seen people come in class that they were just, you know, you have just those people that could just, they were natural at doing kata, like yourself. You know, they were natural at throwing. They were just a natural kicker, or they're a natural fighter, or something like that. And that's good to get you through the points in karate that you're a natural at. But you can't rely on that natural ability if you don't have it for other parts of karate. So that's where your Kime comes in and has to, you know, carry you through there. But that's a really, really good question.
Okay, let's move on to the next. This is from our mother-son duo, Angela and Eli. And they would like to know, or would like for you to suggest, a workout that they could do every week and do some each day.
Well, I would say have more than just a workout. Mix it up. Because if you do the same thing every day, first of all, it's not good for your muscles to do the exact same thing every day, unless it's a muscle memory type thing, you know, like throwing techniques, doing a kata. That kind of workout you can do. You can work on your techniques, you can work on your kata, you can work on shadow boxing or bag drills. You can work on that kind of stuff every single day, because what you're doing then is building up muscle memory. And when things gets going tough, and that mind, it's hard to focus and hard to concentrate, like we were talking about a while ago, you know, or if you really get in there and get with it with somebody, that's when your repetition training is going to kick in, because then it becomes an instinct.
Right.
And you're instinctively fighting. You're fighting on body memorization at that time. Right. So, you know, like drills are not so much, well, yeah, I guess you could do drills, but kata, techniques, working on a bag, you can do that every day. But if you're talking about exercises just to help your body get fit, let me say this to you. I thought coming up as a teenager and before I went in the military, just do the same exercises all the time. As a matter of fact, my Jeet Kune Do instructor, when I took Jeet Kune Do, this guy never lifted weights at all. He done calisthenics all the time. And I mean, he was cut. I mean, really, really in tip-top shape, but he done them all the time. I'm not sure if he done them every day, but that's all he done. But when I went in the military, and you start seeing how the military trains you, and especially when I was a drill instructor in basic training, every morning when you wake the troops up for PT at 4:30 in the morning, you don't do the same exercises every day. You know, maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or something like that. You would do a lot of calisthenic type push-ups. Just a lot of calisthenic type push-ups. And then you would run maybe distance running.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, maybe you would do maybe a lighter calisthenic, more stretching than anything else, but then you'd work on sprints, because they all work different muscle groups. And some of the best martial artists that I have ever known, they'll do calisthenics and then weights, calisthenics, weights, calisthenics, weights, and they keep it mixed up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do the same exact exercise 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. So if you guys are interested, the Amex, if you guys are interested, we've got one of our bedrooms, we've turned it in what we call our weight room. We got some Nautilus equipment back there. We got a bunch of free weights back there. We've got a lot of our karate certificates and belts, and rather than what's right behind us hanging up back there and stuff like that. But I've also got a board back there and it's called my Dirty Dozen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got Dirty Dozen that I do with weights, and it's got Dirty Dozen that I do with calisthenics. Now I try to stretch a little bit every day. Stretch different, but a little bit every day. But like what a Dirty Dozen is, there's 12 exercises, and you do it 12 times a piece. 12 exercises, 12 times a piece. And it's called my Dirty Dozen. And I learned this from reading a martial arts book years ago. And I can't remember what book I got this out of, but they're like, develop your Dirty Dozen. So I got my Dirty Dozen in calisthenics. It's got push-ups, different types of sit-ups, crunches, different types of push-ups, cat stretches, that we used to do in there, things like that. And then it's got my Dirty Dozen for weights, and it's got like curls, and bench press and stuff like that in it. And the idea is to one day calisthenics, one day weights, one day calisthenics, one day weights.
Well, now let me ask you this: don't we also have some sort of a poster that you would do, like upper body, to simplify things? Upper body, one, like on Monday. On Tuesday you would concentrate on the lower body, on the legs. About Wednesday you might concentrate on the abs, and then you just rotate. Didn't we have
I've
something
got
like
that
one
poster's
time?
hanging in there.
Okay.
That poster's hanging, and it's got them numbered in order that I number them. And I've got a U, say U1 is upper body first exercise, U2 is upper body second exercise, and then it's got L1, L2. L is lower body exercise number 1, lower body exercise number 2.
Well,
like
and you could also take the exercises that we do in class, like we do jumping jacks, we do the neck rotations, wrist rotations, that type of thing, push-ups, we do sit-ups. You could take that list too and divide that up so that you're doing something different every day.
Well, all that's calisthenics, though.
Well, that's true.
And
that's
you
true.
should, if you'll notice, we practice on Tuesday and Thursday. So we do calisthenics when we practice. If I've got an idea that maybe we're not going to do calisthenics that night in class, then I'll do them here at the house.
Oh, okay.
And that's my Tuesday and Thursday. And then what days am I in there lifting weights? Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Right. Okay.
That way I keep it mixed up.
Okay.
But good question. If you guys want something like that, I can certainly get it to you, But what is always, always, always a good idea to do is stretch, practice kata, practice techniques.
Right.
That's always good to do, because stretching, just to keep the muscles stretched out, and kata and techniques, you're building body memorization. And there, you just cannot do enough of that. You just can't.
And we've said this before, if you're doing them correctly, especially a kata, and you're putting 110% into that, whatever you're doing, every time you do it, you are going to be sweating and out of
Oh,
breath
yeah,
when you
yeah.
get done.
Kata will give you a workout if
Yes,
you do
it
it
will.
the way it's supposed to
Yes,
be
it
done.
will. I'll be the first one to tell you that. It
Yeah.
will. So,
The other night when we were having black belt training,
oh my goodness.
and we were doing kata,
For
every one of us in
right
there,
about
sweat
almost 2 hours.
sweat was pouring off of us,
Yes.
and we were doing nothing but kata.
And we
That's
all we
all
did
we
was
done
kata.
was kata.
So that's a workout in itself. So, but we can get some more information to you if you'd like some different information. Okay, so the last question that we have for tonight is coming from Brian Glasgow. He's the newest student we have. And his question is, what benefit does karate hold in day-to-day life?
Didn't you tell me this where you also said it's subjective?
I did.
And it
I
is.
did.
It so much is. I'll say this. Karate, martial arts period, unless it's just a dojo that's teaching something just to make some money, and it's not even really good martial arts or any martial arts, what some of them teach you. Some of them don't even teach martial arts. It's an excuse to just get money is basically all it is. But if you take a really true martial art, the benefits that you're going to get, you're going to learn how to persevere. I can promise you that, because things are not always going to be easy.
Nope.
If it will teach you anything, it will teach you how to persevere, because you're going to have to take the good with the bad. There's going to be bad times in there where you just feel like you can't do anything right. Sometimes you feel like you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, and then there's going to be days in there where you're going to be on cloud nine. Martial arts is going to be a roller coaster ride. Some of the benefits, and martial arts will teach you all kinds of things. If it's correct, martial arts will do perseverance, discipline, respect, courtesy. I
think it teaches you, one of the things along with that it teaches you is true effort.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, our dojo kan, it helps develop your character. What is one of Gichin Funakashi's 20 precepts? The perfection of character. So character, sincerity, because you ain't going to get but so far unless you're sincere about what you're doing in there. Effort, etiquette, and self-control. And if you miss the boat on any of those, you're cheating yourself, because once you miss a boat on it, unless you come back and get that and press on with it, you're only going to get so far. There's dojo etiquette, there's etiquette to your personal instructor, there's etiquette to martial arts, there's etiquette the way you treat your classmates. There's the building of the character, there's sincere practice. We talk about giving 100% effort when we're fighting. Well, not only fighting, but when you're learning new techniques, control your